some people would feel like that's a pretty heavy role. I mean, it's Jesus.
Yeah.
Basis of the world's largest religion.
Yeah.
God himself, according to Christians. Did you ever feel that on you? Like, that's a lot.
In the first season, I did. There was this moment, especially, which I've kind of talked about at times, where, and I think it still sort of affects me. I actually like telling the story because it's a reminder for me to remember what it's all about and who I'm serving as I endeavor to portray this role. And so we were about midway through the first season, and the time came for me as Jesus to start preaching, full-on sermons. And we started filming. And then as I was going through these words, I suddenly, it's like I kind of felt I was outside of myself, listening to myself preach to a crowd outside the doors of in our story, Zebedee, James and John's father, Zebedee's house. And there was a crowd of people that was a growing crowd of onlookers, and our wonderful background actors that participate in the show, and many of whom have participated for years. This crowd starts growing outside the house as Jesus begins preaching, and the scene's not specifically about Jesus. It's about other stuff that's happening in the background that becomes the foreground of the story. And in the background, Jesus is preaching, but I still have to preach. I still have to say these lines from Scripture convincingly and try to mesmerize and galvanize the people that are listening to me and get their attention. And they seemed really attentive, so much so that it made me really self-aware.
Yeah.
And I thought, what am I saying? What are these words? Like, these are holy, holy words said by the holiest being that ever walked the face of the earth. I shouldn't be doing this. This feels wrong. And so I would have those feelings, and then, we would stop and then move on to the next setup and put the camera in a different place. And then as it went on, I just had to stop the production for a moment to talk to the director, to Dallas Jenkins. And I said, can we just slow down a second? And he said, what's going on? And so I took him aside. I said, listen, man, I'm having a hard time right now. Like, I was starting to feel panicked and overwhelmed. Almost like I've only had one panic attack in my life, and it started to feel like it was creeping into that, and I didn't know why or how. Well, I kind of knew. I thought I knew why, and what was going on. But I just said, hey, can we slow it down? And he said, what's going on? And I said, I'm saying these words, and hearing myself say them, I don't feel worthy to be saying them. This is why I tell this story, because it drives home the point of the gift that I've been given in playing this role. And he puts his hand on my shoulder and he says, brother, none of us are truly worthy. But here we are. I mean, it's you and me. Here we are. We're doing this so that the world may know his story. Those who haven't heard his story may know the impact that he's had on the world and on our lives personally. And I'm slightly paraphrasing because it's been many years since we shot that, but that was the essence, and it settled my spirit. And I thought, he's right. He's right. For whatever reason, God saw fit to put me in that role and not somebody else. Nobody else auditioned. There weren't auditions for the role. He had just called me up and said, do you want to do this again? And I said, yes, of course. I didn't hesitate. But then when we got to that moment, it started to dawn on me the weight of what it was that I was being given to do, and would then inform the encounters and the experiences that I would have as the show progressed, and as we now arrive here at season 5, the dawn of season 5.
Lent is here, the period before Easter, the 40 days, and it's a unique chance to get closer to God. That's the point of it. Hallow, the world's #1 prayer app, can help you do that. Joining their Prayer 40 Challenge, it's a great way to connect with Christians all over the world and unite in preparation for Easter, which is the payoff of this season. It's called The Way. It helps participants focus on how Jesus is the way to heaven. If you join the challenge, you'll embark on a spiritual journey with some of America's most convicted Jesus followers. Powerful stories, prayer, you grow in your ability to sacrifice. That's what Lent is, it's a sacrifice. And taking thought-provoking sermons and true stories of faith in action, which are amazing. This year is going to be the best Lent ever. Thousands of people praying together all over the world, and you can be part of it through Hallow, which, by the way, is in use in my house and a nightly topic of conversation. So you can sign up at hallow.com/Tucker. When you join, check out thousands of guided prayers, meditations, music, and everything. There's a ton on Hallow, all designed to help you find peace and closeness to God. Download the Hallow app and jump onto the Lent Pray 40 Challenge right now. When you started the series, did you believe it? Did you believe in the gospel?
Oh, yeah. I was raised Christian. I was baptized Greek Orthodox. We lived in New York City. And then when my family moved into the suburbs, there weren't really Greek Orthodox options. So my dad, having gone to Catholic school in Egypt, and my mom being Catholic from Ireland and raised in the faith as well, were more than happy to just go down the street to the local Catholic church. It was familiar to my dad and part of my mom's upbringing, and for myself and my sisters, it didn't feel different. It just felt right. And so I made my first communion and my confirmation as a Catholic, and probably when I got into my early 20s, I was revisiting the idea of my Orthodox roots as cousins and family members were getting married in the Orthodox Church, and I so admired the beauty and the sanctity with which they approach the liturgy, which is quite different than Catholicism for the most part. I mean, there's Eastern Catholic rites which are more similar to Greek Orthodox, but it was different. But it didn't draw me to go back completely, because I think I just felt like, no, this feels like the truth as I understand it in God's eyes. This seems true. And it's the church that Christ himself ultimately started. And for the reasons God knows, and despite every effort to thwart it, especially the largest empire in the world at the time, despite the Roman Empire's attempts to stamp it out.
Through murder.
Yeah, it didn't happen. It's still going. And that means something to me. And so doing this show, playing the character of Jesus, working with the Hallow app, doing all these prayer and meditation challenges with them, learning more about other stories of faith, other people of faith through like the challenges that we have coming up for Lent here. I've grown deeper in my faith. It's drawn me closer to the church, to want to know more about the aspects of the church that I didn't necessarily grow up learning. I went to public school. So I had the Tuesday afternoon catechism, or whatever the day was where you went to catechism. CCD after school. And I didn't learn any of the things that I've learned in the last several years, because that's just not designed that way. And the church has such a rich history and tradition. It's so vast. It's such a storehouse. There's so much to know and to learn. And through the experiences of playing Christ and getting to force myself to go into prayer and meditation prior to every season, through these periodical prayer challenges, like we just did one in Advent for Hallow, and now we're doing the Pray 40, which starts today, Ash Wednesday. It's forced me to just spend more time in the presence of God.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. We hope you'll subscribe to it. And by the way, you can hit the little bell on there and get notifications every time we produce a video. We hope you'll do that also.